Am I going to play Necron Kill Team? I answer this question and more in this month's Necron Q&A. It's coming right up.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. And if you're new to the channel and you want to keep up to date with all things Necrons, then please subscribe and hit the bell button to turn on all notifications so you don't miss an upload. Right, welcome to this month's Necron Q&A. I'm going to answer your Necron questions from the previous episode. First though, I've got a question for you. Okay, so as Necron followers of the channel, what I would love to know is, when I'm doing my battle reports, when I'm playing my Necron armies, would you like to see me play the more meta type Necron lists, like 3 Doomsday Arcs, 3 Doom Scythes, etc. Or do you like the fact that I play slightly different angled Necron lists? I'd love to know what you think. Would you like to see me play those meta lists, or do you prefer me playing slightly different lists? Let me know in the comments box below, and whilst you're there, don't forget to ask me a question for next month's episode. Okay, so here we go, on to your questions that you have for me. Now I've got my new coffee cup bought for me by my girlfriend, and I'm going to be sipping coffee during this episode because I want it to be a bit more of a relaxed video, so there's going to be less editing and more mistakes. So let's get on with the first question. Okay, so the first question is from Frederik Bech, and he says, do you ever think more dynasties will get special rules? Hoping for Thocht, something with Tesla. I'm not convinced that we will get more dynasties stroke more special rules. We've got 5 dynasties at the moment, plus the Forge World one, and I honestly don't think we're going to get more. I mean, I could be wrong, it may happen, but I don't foresee us getting more dynasties, to be fair. Who knows, of course, who knows the future, but I would say probably not. Thanks for the question. Next one is from Duppy Man, and he says, Necron characters, do you think they need updating? Okay, so characters. So obviously we've got characters and we've got name characters. We've had some big points reductions recently, and I think there's a few characters that maybe could be updated a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of playing named characters. I do like playing a few of them. I do like Imitek the Stormlord. I like playing Orokin and Luminor. Haven't really been into the other characters too much. I find they're a little bit gimmicky in what they offer, so arguably they could need a little bit of sort of updating, but we've got a lot of Necron characters at the moment. I think the last count was 12. I can't remember if that includes the 2 from Forge World or plus the 2 from Forge World, but we've got a lot of characters, almost too many to be fair. It would be nice if they were all really playable, but I don't think GW will ever make all of the characters all really good. They usually focus on a few, probably the ones that they want to sell more. So yeah, maybe when GW finally give us plastic characters and not fine cast ones, we'll have some updated rules, but to be fair, until that happens, I don't think we will get any changes to the rules. Next question is from Matt, and he says, are reanimation builds worth it? Yeah, I mean, reanimation protocol builds, and I don't think you're going to get a really competitive list from having a list built around RP, but it's definitely doable. In actual fact, that's something that I am doing and working on this year. I've actually got a list ready to go. I'm just waiting to get some games in. I haven't played yet this year, so hopefully it's going to happen soon. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely viable. Obviously, working around our biggest special rule, RP, Yeah, you know, you need to be doing that really, and whilst the whole army may not be working towards it, you do have to consider it when you're taking unit sizes. You have to really consider, you know, am I going to be getting RP on this unit? So for example, when you take Immortals, you take 5 Immortals, you have to say to yourself they're probably going to get wiped if they're targeted, no RP. If you start taking bigger units, then you have to then consider, right, how can I help these survive so that I can take advantage of the RP, have the cryptic nearby, for example. So I think you have to take RP into consideration regardless of what list you're building. But yeah, I mean, if there's no reason why you can't make a Reanimation Protocol list variant work, i.e. taking as many units that can RP as possible and building the additional support units around RP, like having your warriors with the ghost arcs and resurrection orbs, even take the orb relic, the orb of eternity. You know, it's definitely doable. Okay, the next question is from Soul Survivor, and he says, what is the best anti-marine list for Necrons? Wow, that's a question and a half, isn't it? Obviously, my current new series of videos is built around 2020 tactics, in particular against Marines. So I don't think there is, like in anything in life, I don't think there really is a best. And even if you had the best list, you still have to command that list. I am working on a brand new list which will be coming up in a video very soon, and a battle report, and it's a work in progress, but I'm very happy with my list that I've got, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you guys actually. So I think the answer to your question is keep watching, and together we can discover the best list for taking out Marines. Okay, next question is from Craig Hoyland, and he says, I have a Necron Pylon. If you've used it, what do you think is needed in a list to support it? Do you think it's worth the points? Okay, so yeah, the Pylon. It's an interesting one, the Necron Pylon. Obviously we're talking about the Gauss Pylon as they call it now. So it is a good chunk of points, and it can do a lot of damage, but only against the right targets. That's what I've found. I've had it in a list where it's literally just killed a couple of Marines each turn, because there's nothing on the table that can really take advantage of its weapons. However, if there is things on the table, you know, especially if they're titanic things, then the Pylon can be very tasty at dishing out a lot of damage. In terms of supporting units, it's quite an interesting one, because actually the Pylon can support your units more than you support the Pylon, because obviously it gives you that 5+ invulnerable save for those units around it. So arguably you could take units to actually work with the Pylon and take advantage of that invulnerable save. However, I think that, like I said, as the Pylon is basically there to take out big things, it might be worth using the rest of the army to take out smaller things. So probably something built around volume of shots, a good amount of Tesla, you know, your usual stuff really, destroyers, tomb blades, Tesla Immortals, maybe some Doomsday Arcs there as well, so that if you do come across, say, a Knight list, not only have you got the Pylon, you've got those other bigger shots to go with it, maybe some heavy destroyers as well, just to complement the Pylon. So yeah, I think that's what I would do really. Have some stuff which will complement the Pylon with some bigger guns, but also have bodies and volume shots on the table as well. Okay, great question that. Right, next question is from Alex Quigley, and Alex says, are you playing Kill Team? What does your squad look like? Okay, so yeah, Necron Kill Team. So I know I previously said that I won't be doing Kill Team because I have no one to play Kill Team with, and hasn't really interested me. I prefer those bigger games. Well, things have changed a little bit now, and let me explain why. So my buddy with his Blood Angels, I haven't played 40k with him since the battle reports with the bridge that went very, very quickly, and we've been playing a Man of War. We've had a few games of Man of War. We played Star Trek Attack Wing and a few other board games, but we haven't played 40k. I've been waiting for him to say, shall we play 40k? And he hasn't. I did have a little discussion with him though, because I thought that Kill Team could actually be really good for us, because it's a smaller game, it's a quick game, it's not necessarily going to be that one-sided, and I thought it would be just a bit more fun rather than playing a full-scale 2,000 point game where ultimately I'm on top of my army, on top of the current rules, on top of the current missions, and he doesn't have time for that. Plus, a lot of his army isn't painted yet either. Whereas we had smaller games, hopefully I'll be able to use some of those painted models, for example, for battle reports. So I've talked to him about it. I've suggested, well, how about we have a go at Kill Team? Would you be up for that? You know, just small games, like 5 models each, on a smaller table, the games will go quicker. And he seemed quite interested in that, so I think it was a good suggestion. Now, I've got the new White Dwarf. Obviously, I don't collect White Dwarf, but of course this one has the Necron stuff in it, which I'm hoping to make a video on at some point. However, in here I see, in White Dwarf, there's a bunch of Kill Team rules. They're not updated rules, I think they're just expansion rules, but it did remind me of the fact that it's not good. Well, it can be just a one-off purchase for Kill Team, but there are lots of extra expansions and rules, and it goes on and on and on, or at least it can do. But I posted in my Wargamers Unification Facebook group. Check us out on Facebook if you haven't already. Wargamers Unification, yeah, come and join us. But I posted on there about Kill Team and what I need to get started, and the general consensus was I just need the main rulebook and potentially the Elites book, and then just a board with loads of terrain on, and then just use the models that we've got. And I thought that sounds like a good way to go. You know, there was comments on there that you don't have to buy all the expansion stuff. You can just get the basic stuff and play the game and enjoy it and see how you get on. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to get the rulebook and get together with my buddy and then have a look at it and see how we get on. So, Necron Kill Team, well, potentially it could be coming to the channel. Are you pleased with that? Let me know in the comments box below. Right, there was a second part to the question, and that was, what does your squad look like? Well, I have no idea because I'm not playing yet, but I'm told that flayed ones seem to be pretty good. So quite like the idea of having a couple of flayed ones in there, and I have no idea really, I've never played it, but I don't know. Immortals with Gauss, maybe? I honestly don't know, to be fair. Any suggestions? Yeah, let me know. Again, I don't need anything too overpowered, just fun, quick, small games with my buddy to get him back into 40k maybe, hopefully eventually leading on to some bigger games, proper games. Okay, so the next question is from Drewtavian Eternity Reaper. And he says, if you could write a Cron Cific Black Library book, what would be the theme? Which dynasty would it include? And how would it play out? A very interesting question. I am not into writing stories at all, which is probably why I'm not really into fluff that much. However, if I were to do a book, it would definitely be based around Imhotep the Stormlord, because I think he is my favourite Necron character. So it'd be Imhotep the Stormlord, and it would be how they conquered the universe. And the end of the book will literally be like the ultimate finish for Necrons, where Necrons just rule the galaxy. Yes, that's how my book would end. Yes. Great question, thank you. The next question is from Castman, and he says, if you could have new third-party bits made for the Necrons, what would they be? He actually answers his own question for me. He says, I'd like to see, for example, bits for weapon options like scythes, so we don't have to cannibalise another model to add one to our Destroyer Lord. Yeah, actually I think you probably hit the nail on the head there, because I remember my Necron Lords, the old metal ones, they came with a war scythe, and I wanted my Lord to have a Staff of Light, and yeah, I had to like cut that metal arm off, and it was attached to his legs, and I had to file it all down and green stuff it, and I had to get another war scythe from somewhere else and then glue it on. And like you say, it's a shame when you have to cannibalise other models. It would be good to have extra bits. And obviously, not obviously, because you may not know this, but recently Wargames exclusive have just released some Necron sniper models. Basically, they're minis to take advantage of our Death Marks box with the Immortals. So you build your Immortals and you're left with the Death Marks guns. Well, these sculpts are designed to take those leftover Deathmark guns and put them on there. Now, I have to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of that sculpt, because they have these like cloaks on, and I don't know, they're very Necron-ish. I'd have to see them in the real to really put an opinion on that, but the concept is great. The fact that you can make use of your bits and effectively buy that box, buy this other model and just stick on the sniper guns and you're good to go. So yeah, I think we could definitely do with some more third-party bits, but Necrons don't have too many options, so I don't think there's too much of a problem, but it would be pretty cool to have some different options, you know, why not? Yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you for the question, Castman. So the next question is from Ben Holman, and he says, I like the idea of using Oberon and Zandrek for some first turn shenanigans, probably shoving Lichguard in my opponent's face for an alpha strike. I know it's not considered very competitive, but for friendly games, what's the best way to go about it, and which units should I use to back it up? Yeah, I think since the dawn of time, or at least since the dawn of those two characters into our codex, people have been working out a way to cheese up on those that combo, and whilst it's definitely doable, it's still ultimately a bit of a gimmick. You know, whilst a lot of fun, it can definitely work. As you say, it's not necessarily the most competitive thing. Now, I've been thinking about this, especially with my new Ghost Ark video that I made. I think I may have even had a comment on it on that video. But how about putting Nemesaur in the Ghost Ark and then using the Deceiver to teleport the Ghost Ark within 12 inches of your enemy, and then on your turn you can disembark Nemesaur 3 inches and then move him normally, get him into a really good position, and then you can use Oberon's teleportation facility and teleport over a unit next to Nemesaur, and then whatever that unit may be, Lichguard, yes, or a big squad of warriors or whatever you want, and then at the same time have a Cryptek with the Veil of Darkness and another unit teleport over to join them. that would put you in very close proximity of your opponent, and I think would be a lot of fun. Like I said, there's lots of combinations around that you could use, but that was one thought that I had based on my Ghost Ark video, because obviously having Ghost Arks in your enemy's face is also very good, and yeah, it gives you the option. Yeah, great question. Okay, so next is from Basic Miniature Painting from Justin. He's got a great channel, check it out. There is a link to everyone's channel in the description below, so make sure you check them all out. Justin says, are all Necrons the metallic in colour, or are they varied in colours? Well, they're definitely varied depending on your dynasty. I mean, the dynasties themselves have specific colours. However, you can paint them however you like, literally. Of course, mine are all silver because that's what I chose when I first started. I liked the idea of Terminator robots. But yeah, you can have any colour that you like, or you could pick a particular dynasty colour and paint it like that. Personally, I'd recommend your own dynasty colours would work better, just so that when the rules change, you've got the option. So, I mean, for example, if you painted them all in the Sotek dynasty, and then all of a sudden the Nihilic dynasty was flavour of the month, and you wanted to use them as Nihilic, well, it might look a little bit odd. It's like using Ultramarines as white scars. But if you have your own generic paint scheme, you can use them as any particular dynasty or faction. Okay, great question, thank you. Next one is from Takeru Shirogane, and he says, why is the Gauss Pylon so cheap for a Forge World Lord of War, going for $175 US per piece? Okay, I don't know, I bought mine for £85, and that was quite a while ago. When did I buy it? I bought it at Games Day. I believe it was about 2002-ish. I know it's a bit more expensive now, but yeah, it hasn't gone up a huge amount. Is it cheap? I don't know, because I've not really looked at any other Forge World stuff. It could well be cheap. Maybe it's because the model's been around a very long time. So all of the costs of making the design and the moulds and stuff, it's all been recuperated, so now they're probably just in profit for that particular model, so maybe that's why. But honestly, I don't know, but the cheaper it is, the better it is for us. He also has another question. He says, what will you recommend for 500 point semi-competitive Necron list? 500 points is a good question once again. So in smaller games, I like to play Orokin as my HQ. The fact that he can get empowered during the game, I think, is an awesome way to bring a nice powerful unit to the table in a smaller point game. I'd also recommend some Immortals with Tesla for your anti-horde, and I would also recommend taking a few Destroyers as well for the extra AP and movement, and potentially, I think it may have been 750 points, but then we've had some points reductions since I made my 750 point list, but potentially you could have your Destroyers with one heavy destroyer in amongst the units, because of course you can split fire, so that gives you a bit of higher powered, option. So you've got the strength 9 gun, then you've got your Destroyers, and then you have your Immortals, the anti-horde, and then you've got Orokin to help buff the units and potentially transform into a mini Catan. So yeah, maybe something along those lines. That's what I would be looking at anyway. Great question. Next one is from Richard Untch. Richard Untch. And he says, it might be Untch. He says, do you think Games Workshop will ever allow Ghost Arks to transport anything other than warriors? Well, of course we can put HQ in there, but we can't put HQ and the warriors. The issue that we've got is it only transports 10, and of course the minimum amount of warriors unit size is 10, so you can't get both in. In the old days, I think we transported 12, so you could get a unit of warriors and a cryptek in there as well. I'm hoping the rules will change and we will be able to take the characters and warriors in the Ghost Arks, but I don't foresee them allowing us to transport other units. The Ghost Ark is basically going around the table collecting the fallen warriors. You know, they're collecting them and repairing them and putting them back out on the table. There's no way that the fluff would represent them being able to pick up other units as well. Whether or not we get a new transport that can take other units, but yeah, the Ghost Ark certainly I don't think should be able to take other units. However, I do think that we should get characters on there. And the second part of your question, which also says, do you think they will ever return the keyword open top to them, since they are very much open topped? I used to love running 10 warriors around the board inside one and just doing drive-bys. I mean, absolutely. I really hope we get open top with it. It would be great to see it open top, to put a character in there. And yeah, like you say, I think it would make the Ghost Arks a lot more. I think it will make the Ghost Ark scene a lot more on the table than we already are. So yeah, hopefully one day. Okay, next question is from Brush and Quill, and he says, you seem to be Mr. Necron, with people turning to you for sagely advice. Who did or do you yourself look for Necron advice, if at all? These days, certainly no YouTubers. Most of what the info I get is from the comments of my videos, and also in Facebook groups and forums, and you know, just the usual stuff where everyone goes really. However, in the old days when I first started up, I was very much into Wargamer Fritz and his tactics, and he did a lot of Necron stuff. He did lots of armies. Actually, did quite a few armies that I used to play. Eldar, he used to play Harlequins, Tyranids, Space Wolves, and obviously Necrons. And yeah, I mean, one of the hardest things with 40k I found is actually building lists. When I feel I'm quite good at building lists now, and I also feel that a lot of my lists are a little bit out the box as such, to some degree, but yeah, list building is probably one of the hardest things to come up with to do. What I used to do is follow along with Fritz's videos, and to be honest, I used to copy a lot of his lists when I first started. Now, not from a... well, yeah, I copied them, but not because I was lazy, but because I was learning from them. So I copied them and I played with them a few games, and it gave me a good feel of what he was up to and the tactics he was talking about, and allowed me to expand on that and then take what he was sharing and come up with my own stuff. My Flayed One list, for example, my themed Flayed One list was all inspired by Fritz's themed lists that he had, and I made my own themed list using all the stuff that I'd learnt from everything that he had shared. So yeah, Fritz 40k as he was then, Wargamer Fritz now, was a massive inspiration for not only my armies and my army lists and my play style, but also for the YouTube channel. I mean, if there was no Fritz, there potentially could have been no IDIC. He was the one who inspired me to make videos. There is a link to Wargamer Fritz in the description below. Definitely check him out. Great question. Okay, next up we have a question from Who Took My Dice Miniature Wargaming, and he has been making a massive effort, let's just say, this year with his YouTube channel to really try and up his game, and he's made some very good videos so far. He's a great guy, really friendly, very nice guy. and again, you should just check him out. Like I said, there's links to everyone. I'd love to do a shout out to every channel that's on here, but yeah, you know, check them all out. Definitely check them out. Anyway, he says, would you like to see the Necrons evolve? Something along the lines of old pariah models. See them change, especially since they have been woken to stop the Tyranids. Steve, I know you're into your fluff. Of course, I'm not. But I have been reading this. Were they really woken to stop the Tyranids? The new fluff in here may suggest other things. I think it's going to be an exciting year actually for Necron fluff. And having read the White Dwarf there, I'm definitely going to be inclined to maybe read all of the new stuff that comes out, because yeah, it's going to be interesting. However, do I want to see them evolve? I don't necessarily want to see them evolve, because I like the Necron models, even the old ones that some people don't like the Warriors, and I think their model range is held up incredibly well. Of course, I would like to see pariahs on the table, definitely. But I don't think I want to see them change too much from what they are. I like them as they are. Okay, next question is from Major Grumpybum. And he says, that name, Major Grumpybum. He says, have you ever taken your Necrons against another Necron army? And yes, I have. And it was at a tournament. So yeah, I played against a Necron army, and it's quite interesting. I played MSU. It was 7th edition. I played MSU. I had multiple units of flayed ones, 5 in each. I had multiple units of 3 units of wraiths, and I had multiple units of immortals. I might have been warriors, because warriors, you could take 5 warriors back then. And multiple units of scarabs. So basically went MSU. It was built, the whole list was built around MSU. Small, multiple units. And he had a traditional competitive Necron list at the time. And that was the Canoptic Harvest. He had, I think, 2 Canoptic Harvests. And can't remember what else he had now, but he had a more competitive list compared to mine. Mine was a bit out there, but my list did very well in that tournament, down to the fact that I built the list around the missions. Anyway, basically I probably got one of the better, easiest missions for me to win against him, and that was the Relic. And I infiltrated all of my flayed ones, and they grabbed the Relic, and I basically held the Relic for the whole of the game with my multiple units, and then I just sent the rest of my army charging forward, and I occupied him for the whole of the game, and he had no chance of getting the Relic. So yeah, like I said, probably a good mission for me to play, and I had like the perfect army as well for that mission. So yeah, I have certainly played against another Necron army. The next question is from the Pale Ork, and that's an upcoming brand new Ork channel. So if you're into your Orks, check him out. There's a link in the description below. And he says, a few editions ago, I was running a Necron ant farm list that had 9 tomb spiders and maxed out units of scarabs. I would get 9 extra scarab bases a turn, and the sheer speed and weight of wounds would drown the opponent in armour munching goodness. Do you think we could ever build that style list again? Or are my dreams of armour munching my way to victory long dead? That's a good question. Oh, the scarab farm, I remember it well. I only have 6 tomb spiders, or canoptic spiders as they're now called, but I did have a list built around 3 units of 2, and then I had 3 maximum units of scarabs, and then 3 big units of wraiths. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Now, I have played the Scarab Farm in 8th edition. It's of course much harder to do because you can only generate extra scarabs when you lose models, and of course they're much faster than your spiders are as well. So they tend to get out of range before it can happen. It is definitely doable. I've got a battle report in the archives. I'll try and find it and link it up there in case you're interested. But yeah, it's doable, but it's going to be nowhere near as good as it was. And of course, scabbers back then were also pretty awesome as well. So yeah, will it happen again? You never know. It only takes Games Workshop to think we need to sell. But the trouble is that scarabs aren't available separately. So I mean, all of my scarabs, I've got 63 bases in total. I've got 20 real Games Workshop ones, and the rest are green stuffed. I think that if Games Workshop produce their own Scarab Swarm box set, maybe a brand new model, and you can buy just Scarab Swarms, then they might change the rules again to match. But yeah, who knows really? Who knows the future? The next question is from 36, and he says, I've been playing a lot of games against Death Guard recently, mostly invulnerable saves and disgustingly resilient. What would you suggest I focus on to take them down? Heavy hitters are almost perfectly countered. So melee spam with wraiths, or just sheer overwhelming volume of fire with warriors and immortals and whatever test that I can get? I think you've answered your own question there really. I mean, the best bet would be to take as much test as you can. Volume of shots is how to deal with something which is difficult to kill, because the more dice your opponent has to roll to save, the more chance there is of something going wrong. So yeah, definitely try to get as much test as you can. Volume of shots is the way to go, but also wraiths are, you know, again awesome because you can get in close and they can dish out some pain as well. So I think you're absolutely on the right lines there. I'd actually go for a mixture of some wraiths and some volume of shots, like get your annihilation barges in there, your immortals with Tesla in there, mine will be done, use the stratagem, you know, all the tricks to get as many shots out as you can. I think that's the way to deal with Death Guard, especially Death Guard with those particular rules. Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, so the next one is from Ross Moore, and he says, do you think the Necrons will get the ability to make their own dynasty in Psychic Awakening, like the Eldar being able to make their own craft worlds? And if so, what would you like to see? Okay, interesting. I don't know. I don't think they will get that ability to make their own dynasty. I mean, who knows? What would I like to see? I have no idea, because I don't very often look outside of the rule book. You know, I've got my rules, I've got the rule book, and I work within the rules that I've got. So I don't very often think about like what I would like to see, because it's sort of irrelevant because I've got what I've got. So I don't know that I can answer that really. I have a funny feeling that we won't get a new dynasty. I think our Psychic Awakening is going to be built around a different story. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We're going to get some cool stuff, but I don't know that it will be a new dynasty. Unless the Silent King brings back his dynasty. Interesting. Okay, next question is from Methos from Frost and Fists. And he's got a very good question that I had to really think about before I recorded this video. He says, as I write on New Year's Eve, what was your favourite video of the decade that you've made? Here's to another amazing decade of IDIC goodness. Thank you, Methos. Great question, and yeah, let's hope that another decade of IDIC, that would be cool. I certainly have no plans to give up, so I'm hoping it will happen. Right, my favourite video of the decade. So, I've actually got two. I've got around 2,500 videos, so there's lots of videos to choose from. However, I'm going to pick two for different reasons. So the first one is the video which gave my channel a massive boom. Basically a video that the algorithm got hold of and served my channel very well, and that was my Necrons Suck in 8th edition video, which the algorithm got hold of, shared it out quite a lot, got a lot of views in a very short space of time, and I gained a lot of subscribers. You know, that's basically when I peaked. I think that was 2017, and you know, for that reason, the fact that I've got a video which boosted my channel, one of my favourite videos. I mean, how can it not be? However, I think from another point of view, I've got another favourite video, and that is my best Necron units video that I did. So I did a playlist, Necron Core Tactics, and that's when I set myself a goal that I really want to improve the quality of my videos, and it was that playlist that I did that, but it wasn't until I got to the best Necron units video that I really pushed myself, and it was the birth of me changing scenes in the videos, and me going up against the blinds and stepping into the videos, going outside and recording outside and just experimenting. Now if you look back at that video, it's actually really bad quality compared to what I do now. It's cringe-worthy, but I think that's good because it shows how much I'm improving. And even videos that I make today, I'm hoping in 2-3 months time, when I look back at that video I made, I cringe at that a little bit. I'm hoping to keep improving my videos. But that best Necron unit video was the one which I would say is the catalyst of what you see today, and I've learned a lot since then to today, but I think for that reason I'm going to say that was my best video. And now to put that into perspective, that first video took me about 16 hours to record and edit, and I could probably do the same job now in about 6 or 7 hours. So that's how much I've improved, not just with like the quality but also the editing as well, and now I record to edit, so it makes things a lot easier. But yeah, I'm going to say that video, my best Necron units video. I'll check it out. No, I won't check it out. You can check it out just there. I'll put a link up for you if you're interested. Okay, so the next question is from Jason Molenaar, and he says, where did you get the objective markers that you use? Good question. I've actually got 3 sets of objective markers, so I don't know which ones you've seen, so I'll explain them all. So I have my, what I call Necron Forest objective markers. They're like trees but in crystals. They're from Awaken Realm, and they painted them up for me and sent them for me to review on the channel. I've then got the green like plastic ones, like little flag things, which you may have seen. I use them quite a lot, and they are from Pyrocle. I think they have a website and also an eBay store. And then I've got the laser cut card ones, which I haven't used for a while, but in my old battle reports you would have seen them. They're like little discs. And then I've got 2 sets. I've got like a new set and an older set. So one of the sets have got dice holes in to put dice in. The other ones just have numbers on. So you may have seen those. But yeah, they're from Laser Cut Card. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Thank you for that. Okay, the next question is from Mortis Deamonicus, and he says, how do you store your Necron army? Good question. Multiple ways actually. I've got a big massive case that I started out with, and then I expanded out of that case, I've got a KR multi-case, I've got an A case with the magnetic shelves, I use boxes, I use tubs, anything really that sort of fits it. My Soraptic is in a big cardboard box with bubble wrap. Yeah, so I think like anything really, where you're expanding your armies all the time, you end up with different storage solutions. I did make a video a few years ago of me showcasing some of the ways that I store my Necrons, so I'll link you up to that video just there if you want to check it out. Thank you for the questions, and if you've got a question for me to answer in next month's Q&A, then pop it down in the comments box below. Beam me up!